So this is the 2017 13-inch MacBook Pro, and I've been using it for most of my work for the past little while right now. Now, I've used the 2017 12-inch MacBook and the fully upgraded 15-inch MacBook Pro, and I've had a lot of people ask me whether to buy the 12-inch or the 13-inch MacBook Pro, and also whether or not the TouchBar is worth it, so I'll be answering those questions later on in this video. So this year, Apple did a small spec bump from the 2016 MacBook Pro. In fact, they actually did it about a half year after the 2016 models were released. The model I have here is just a base model with a dual-core i5, 8GB of RAM, and 128GB SSD. No touch bar either, which means you're limited to 2 ports and a lower wattage processor. The performance on this thing is fantastic, and for what I think a lot of people will be buying this thing for, I haven't seen any stuttering or choppy animations. The 13-inch MacBook Pro doesn't have a dedicated graphics card, but the integrated graphics are about twice as fast as the 15-inch, so for productivity tasks, this thing flies. Now, I want to talk really quickly about the new Coffee Lake processors. The 4-core 8th generation Intel chips are already being shipped with a lot of 2018 Ultrabooks. I've never actually used a laptop with an 8th generation CPU, and Apple hasn't updated their laptops just yet, but those are still 15-watt CPUs, and even when I compare this to my 15-inch MacBook Pro with a full 45-watt quad-core CPU, there's almost no difference between the two. If you're thinking of doing some Photoshop work, video editing, or anything that's processor intensive, then you should wait. The performance improvements are pretty significant, but if you're just intending to buy one for typing essays and studying, I'd recommend going with a refurbished 2016 or 2017 MacBook Pro and saving the cash. The entire laptop is made out of aluminum and it feels very comfortable to use on my lap. The keyboard is solid, the screen has very minimal flex, and there's very little screen wobble as well. It wiggles a little bit near the top when I'm typing on my lap, but on the desk it doesn't move at all. Now, going from a 15-inch MacBook Pro to a 13-inch one doesn't sound like a big difference as far as size is concerned, but for me, it's much more comfortable to bring with me. It's a lot more compact than the 15-inch, and it's also a lot more comfortable using a 13-inch on my lap compared to the 15-inch and 12-inch MacBook. The MacBook is small and compact, but sometimes it kind of feels too small, and the 13-inch overall is a much more comfortable laptop to use. It's a little bit heavier and a little bit bigger, but the bezels are smaller and I don't think anyone's gonna have any troubles using this thing on the go. The screen on this thing is really nice. It's a 13.3-inch panel with a resolution of 2560 by 1600, 500 nits of brightness, and 10-bit color support. It also has great viewing angles, contrast, it does a fantastic job of minimizing reflections, and everything just looks really nice on this display. On the left and right hand sides of the keyboard are the stereo speakers, and these sound really good. These get really loud, they've got some decent low end, and easily one of the best speakers on an Ultrabook right now. Unfortunately, I don't have the 12-inch MacBook to compare right now, but I do have the 15-inch MacBook Pro, so here's a quick sound comparison between the two. The keyboard is spacious, keys are nice and big, it's got great LED illumination, but the key travel is just too short for me to call this thing a great keyboard. It's clicky and tactile, and I've personally gotten used to it, but it's still nowhere near as comfortable as the previous chiclet style keyboards on the 2015 and older MacBook Pros. I do miss the touch bar, and the fingerprint sensor is so much nicer than having to type in your password every single time, but I still wouldn't consider it a necessity. On a smartphone, yeah, but if I were buying this machine, I wouldn't bother getting the touch bar model unless I needed 4 USB-C ports. The trackpad takes up nearly the bottom half of the laptop, and it's great for using gestures. The texture is smooth, tracking is accurate, and I've never had any problems with the palm rejection, even on the 15-inch model. If you're coming from anything without a Force Touch trackpad, this will be a night and day upgrade. You don't need to press as hard to register a click, and you can also click anywhere and still get the same feel, so it's a lot more comfortable to use than the older diving board mechanism. So Apple outfitted the non-touch bar model with a 54.5 watt-hour battery, which will easily last you a full day of use. I don't watch videos or use any social media on my laptop when I'm in class, that's kind of all done on my phone, so just web browsing and typing essays on this thing dropped it a little over 30% over the course of a 7-hour day. On average, I'd say it lasts around 8 to 9 hours with light use with the screen brightness either maxed out or at 95%. My only complaint with this laptop, and this is limited to the non-touch bar model, is that my charger is on the right side of my table, so having both ports on the left side of the laptop really annoyed me at first, but overall, this thing has great battery life. So here's my conclusion on the 13-inch MacBook Pro. It's a lot nicer to use than the 12-inch MacBook. It's got a much brighter screen, stereo speakers, and battery life is noticeably better as well. And both laptops added no extra weight to my backpack. My 15-inch MacBook Pro feels like a brick in there, so far it's been great. It's thin, it's light, it's compact, and if you're looking for a nice portable laptop for school or for productivity tasks, this is a really nice option. So that's the end of my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, a like would be much appreciated. This is Infinity Labs, and I will catch you guys later.